items at this time.
Thank you. We do have we do have Student Support Services. That's the ASB President Report. It's informational. Welcome again. And if you ever have an opportunity where you need to get to a class or work, if you just tell me before the meeting, I'll move you forward also like I did the student trustee.
Luckily, today's flex day, so
And I'm sure this is the place you would rather spend than any other place in the world. So thank you for being here. And again, your report, please.
good evening, Superintendent, President Oakley, Board President Kellogg, and members of the board. For the past couple of weeks, the ASB Cabinet has put great focus in our fall 2014 ASB special elections. The Cabinet is proud to announce that the elections went very well, showing that the student body is in support of both AB 1358, the proposed student representation fee, as well as the revisions under Chapter 1 of the ASB Constitution. In addition to the results, our Elections Committee members were especially pleased with the increased student involvement, which has become an overall goal of ASB this semester. On September 11th, our Cultural Affairs Council hosted remembrance events in honor of the Patriots' Day on both PCC and the LAC. Small American flags, cookies, and water were passed out to the students as they signed a decorated wall as a tribute. We were all pleased with the amount of student involvement in both of the events on both campuses. In closing, we invite you to all attend our Mentor Morning Mixer as a part of our 7th annual Beverly O'Neill Student Leadership Conference, scheduled for Friday, October 17th in T1200. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, and this concludes my report.
Thank you. Administrative Services 12.9. This is a resolution assignment of delinquent tax receivables. This is an action item. Could I entertain a motion to approve this item so we can have some discussion on it?
So move.
Motion by Trustee Baxter. Second by Trustee Otto. Discussion on this. Superintendent President Oakley, is there any need for a staff report on this?
This is, as the item suggests, we enter into agreement to collect delinquent tax receivables. We work with other school districts and community colleges so that this can be done by a third party. Vice President Gable, anything else to add to that?
It's something that we've been doing since December of 2002, and so what it does is it gives us our share of delinquent taxes now, rather than waiting for the county to collect them and distribute our share. And so when we receive the money now, we get to show it as unrestricted other local income, and it doesn't go, it's not considered property taxes that would be then part of our apportionment calculation. So it does benefit the district to enter into this agreement with them.
All right, thank you. Discussion, members of the board? Seeing
I have
none?
a question.
Question, Trustee, Chair recognizes Trustee Zia.
Thank you, President Kellogg. As far as the value, the $40,000 and $188, is that how many districts is that out of, and was that the maximum we could get?
That represents our share of the delinquent taxes that are given to the entity, the California Statewide Delinquent Tax Finance Authority. So that's the entity that is purchasing the delinquent taxes from the county, and then they give us our share of those taxes.
Right. When it's in that same paragraph, it says the premium is an amount which will be paid to the participating districts upon settlement of the transaction. My question is, how many districts participated on? And
I don't have the number of districts, but they don't share the premium equally among the number of participants. They share the premium that is related to Long Beach City College and Long Beach City College only. So if we did not participate, then they wouldn't be purchasing the delinquent taxes from the city and the county, and we would just have to wait to see if the city and county collected them, and then we would get it as part of property taxes.
And which fund does it get allocated to?
This goes into the unrestricted general fund as other local income.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Other members of the board at this time? Seeing none. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
President Kellogg,
Aye.
Vice President Otto,
Aye.
Member Archuleta,
Aye.
Member Baxter?
Aye.
Member Zia?
Aye.
Motion carries without objection. Next item, Pacific Coast Campus. No item to report at this time. Thank you. College Advancement and Economic Development. No item, no report at this time. Thank you. Reports and Communications. Academic Senate President. None. Moving on to Superintendent President.
Yes, I just have a couple items. First of all, I want to also congratulate my new neighbor here to my left, Trustee Irma Archuleta, on her appointment, and look forward to working with her as well. I want to acknowledge we had a wonderful event that was hosted by Howard and Elaine Davis, a fundraising event for the foundation's President's Circle. They did a wonderful job of hosting us, and this raises money for the President's Ambassadors. We had many of our President's Ambassadors there, and they all made us very proud because they are outstanding students and really represent what Long Beach City College is all about. Just a quick update. Again, we've begun athletic season here at Long Beach City College. If you haven't been paying attention, our teams are off to a great start. We are 3-0 in football, which is something unique in the last few years. So we're very hopeful. But I want to thank and recognize the wonderful coaching staff, as well as women's volleyball, off to a 2-6 start. Men's soccer 1-1-3. Women's soccer 1-2-3. Water polo, men's just took 3 out of 4 at Cuesta College Invitational this couple weekends ago. And our cross-country team is off and running, literally. So if you have an opportunity to come see one of the athletic teams in action, we're all very proud of the work that our coaching staff does and our wonderful student athletes. And then finally, I just want to thank Mayor Garcia and his staff. We've had a sort of a whirlwind of activity since he came into office, notwithstanding his transition team's chair and all the work that they did, led by Trustee Otto. But we recently had the City Council meeting here at Long Beach City College a week ago. And so we're excited about the opportunities this new relationship may bring. We're excited that the mayor and the city council are all talking about improving education in Long Beach. So I want to thank the mayor and his staff, along with the city council, for choosing to make education a top priority. That's all I have.
Thank you. Board of Trustees, question, comments? Chair recognizes
I asked
Trustee
him
Baxter,
first. I asked
followed
him
by
first.
Trustee Zia. Trustee Baxter?
Yes, sir. First of all, that was the first thing on my agenda. Trustee Zia and I attended the city council meeting, which was last week, and we were there to welcome the city council and thank him for this very unusual situation, and invited them to come back at any time. And then on Sunday, the Fine Arts Associates had a gathering, and I want to praise Dean Humble, who is here, and Morgan Bernard, who is here. And I don't know, is anybody else? Tony, you weren't there, but Greg Morganson. Anyway, the Fine Arts faculty performed at a function, and I want to praise the faculty. They were outstanding. What's interesting is we have a new member of our board, and she asked for the faculty to perform. We never asked for the faculty to perform, we asked the students. And so it was really fun to see people that I know and just, admire their talent. So please give my congratulations to your areas. And then on Friday, October 3rd, the library group is having a speaker whose name is Nick Yaris, and this is an event open to all students, and he was incarcerated on death row for 20 years and was released through DNA evidence. So that will be at the Liberal Arts Campus. I'll make it quick, I promise. And then the Hall of Fame is October 31st, and 5 Long Beach City College alumni will be honored. And obviously, the campus will be invited, and it'll be in T1200. And since you were talking about the football team, I was reminiscing that we beat Bakersfield. And the last time I was in Bakersfield, I was with Karen's father, and they have this stupid cannon that every time they made a touchdown, they shot off the cannon. And I think we lost like 45-0. So I wish I would have been there to kind of poo-poo them because they lost this time. But we're having 2 outstanding football games coming up on November 1st. We are having the 1964 Rose Bowl team. They are being honored for their 50th anniversary, and so they will be saluted at the football game on November 1st. And then on November 14th, we are having the Ron Logan Band reunion. And if you're old enough, you'll know who Ron Logan was. We had fabulous bands. These people are as old as I am, and they're coming back to march. Karen, are you going to be marching with them? I hope. So it's going to be an exciting season. That's it.
And that's the junior Rose Bowl team.
That's right.
Junior
Did
Rose
I
Bowl.
say the
You said
junior
Rose Bowl,
Rose
but
Bowl? Sorry.
I knew they're, Michigan's not showing up. It's our former athletes. Chair recognizes Trustee Zia.
Thank you, President Kellogg. I just wanted to mention that we had our board retreat today, and I was very pleased. It was just very informative. I want to thank our staff who did a great job, our superintendent, president, and everyone who put it together. It was fascinating, especially for me on a data side and institutional effectiveness. So thank you to Ava Bag and her team, John. And I'm probably going to butcher his last name, so I'm just not going to attempt. And I also wanted to dovetail on what our superintendent president mentioned about the President's Circle. I was very pleased, and a special shout out to Trustee Baxter, who's in her other role as the foundation executive director. She did a tremendous job, and it was just beautiful to see these students. I saw some that were that are thinking of going to my alma mater, UCI, which made me very happy. And it was just really great. Made me very proud. So thank you for the great work that you guys are all doing. I also wanted to just welcome our latest and greatest edition, and just put it on the record and mention that we are now a female majority board, so it's awesome. Before we were a male majority board, and we've transformed it, I would think. So it's really exciting to see that. Welcome, Irma. I look forward to working with you. And I have to say, I'm very impressed with the district that you're working at San Jose. And I looked at as an example of the agenda and the minutes that you guys have. It's very thorough and descriptive and itemized. So I would invite all of us as board members to perhaps emulate what you guys are doing. It's great. It's definitely a model. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other board members. Chair recognizes Trustee Otto.
Yeah, very quickly, I wanted to hitchhike on what Eloy said about Mayor Garcia and his commitment to education and higher education too. Not only is he a product of here, he worked here for 6 years, but as Eloy said, I chaired his transition team, and the first thing he said the day after he was elected, when we talked about what he was going to do, was that he wanted to focus on education, that he believes that education is the best economic development tool that the city of Long Beach has. And I've been involved in Long Beach planning circles for a very long time, and it's the first time that I've heard the commitment to focusing on education as a way of approaching the problems that the city has and to make it a great city. The transition team gave its report, or had a press conference, gave its report just a little under 2 weeks ago. If there are people that are interested in what the city is doing and the ideas that they have, please let us know, and I'm sure we can make that report available to you. I wanted to say something very quickly about the provisional trustee process. We went through for about 6 weeks, which was a very fast period of time, a very complicated and detailed process that we said from the beginning needed to be open, transparent, and fair, and I think we did that. And we bent over backwards to do that. It's always difficult to do things when there are a lot of things going on at the college, and particularly in the middle of negotiations when feelings are high about what it is that's going on. And I feel that the process that we engaged in and the results that we got were ones that showed that we're committed to transparency, we're committed to fairness, and it was a good selection process. And I'm just trusting that we're not going to have any efforts to upset that result. I'm very pleased with our selection of our new trustee, Archuleta. I think that she's got a tremendous amount of experience in higher education. She worked at Cal State Long Beach. Her chancellor, Rita Zapata, is when she were freshmen at Long Beach State, I should say, way back when, and when she became a finalist, I got calls from a number of people that work here at Long Beach City College, a number of people in the city of Long Beach that said, we know her, she's great, she's going to be a tremendous asset to this board with all that she brings to this experience. So a heartfelt welcome for me, and I'm sure the rest of the board, to this job. And just so people are clear, yeah, I guess people could gather signatures, and the way the process works is if there were a sufficient number of signatures gathered, then she would be out of office, and we couldn't have an election for 5 months, a minimum of 5 months. We think for the integrity of the college, the district, we think for the issues that we have before us, then we need to move forward, and we've got a great trustee to help us do that. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I was last weekend at the California Community College's trustees meeting in Sacramento. Lots of things going on. There's $50 million for career technical education that this governor has made available right away. 60% of that money will just be handed out on kind of a proportional basis, but 40% will be rewarded on a competitive basis. We've got a tremendous career technical education program here. They are encouraging districts to work with other districts and make applications for those monies. And based on the $15 million that we got during the summer to do this kind of work, I think we're well positioned to work with other districts and increase and improve our career technical education programs. And then finally, I just wanted to say one thing about the retreat too. Retreats are good. We probably should do them more often than we do, but they're particularly good because they provide an opportunity for people to exchange information outside of the stylized dais up here that we have to use, and it's not subject to the Robert's Rules of Order, really, and it gives people a chance to get to know each other. I want to particularly point out and honor the work that was done by the president of our Academic Senate, Karen Kane, who presented on what's going on with the Academic Senate and the kinds of things that the Academic Senate is involved with and is planning to be involved with this next year. You're going to hear a lot more about it at the retreat that's coming up this next week, or into the week, I should say, the 26th, I think it is. And I think it's a very exciting time for those at the college to work together, and I trust and hope that that will happen. We're back to a full complement as a board. We've got a lot of things to do, and it was a great retreat. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Archuleta, would you like me? Chair
Yes,
recognizes
thank you.
Trustee Archuleta.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for your support and your endorsement. It's really a privilege for me to serve and for me to be here, and I will do my best to honor the staff, to honor the students, particularly the students, because As a practitioner, of course, my passion is the students, so I will do my best to work with all my colleagues to make sure that we, keep this district. And I have to tell you that, and I thank you for those comments about my district. Yes, I'm very proud of my district, but I have to tell you that in Northern California, we look at Long Beach City as the model, and there are many districts that are trying to replicate and want to replicate the work that has been done here at Long Beach City College, particularly the Long Beach, promise. That is something that when I meet with my colleagues and our CSSO colleagues in the region, we're always talking about modeling ourselves to Long Beach City College. So I think that all of you should be very proud of the work that is being done here at Long Beach City College, because I think the greatest honor that could come to anyone is to have replication of the work that is being done, and that says something about this institution. So I'm really pleased to be here and to be part of this team. And I also, too, want to extend my appreciation to all of the managers. I was really impressed with the work and the presentation that was made by Research and Institutional Effectiveness, and to see the tremendous work that has been done. And more importantly, and again, I always say that the facts, data tells the story, and the story that is being told by the data that you've collected in terms of the progress, the student success outcomes for Long Beach City, that's outstanding. So kudos to everyone that participated in the retreat today. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome again. And by the way, thinking with our ASB president was here, wanted to sit through this meeting also. Where else would you want to spend your birthday? As Trustee Archuleta has done here at Long Beach City College all day during a retreat. So happy birthday to you again.
Thank you.
And for the future on my comments, because we are going to have through the retreat, I'd also, Trustee Otto did recognize with our Academic Senate President the good work they did. Trustee Archuleta mentioned the other individuals that contributed to our retreat today. They are very beneficial. And the fact that we have a new board, essentially with 3 new members as we were developing this, it was with that in mind as we were trying to move it forward. But I'd also like to thank our board secretary, Jackie Hahn, for putting all the effort together as well on putting that retreat. And so we appreciate it. We think it was very beneficial for future board meetings, workshops. We're going to be tentatively, because in our retreat we had 2 areas, board goals, which we have, and but how to move those forward for the next 12 months. And so I'm going to attempt to schedule as part of our October meeting, if we can, I'm trying to make sure the details work, for the board to do a workshop on developing the board goals for the future. We also, during our meeting at our retreat, there was a board evaluation. It's a self-evaluation. It's something we do every year. It's challenging when you have 3 board members who have been here anywhere from 7 days to 2 months to do a board evaluation. So we're trying to work through that on how we can have a workshop in the future to address that issue, as well as to put together a board evaluation. A subcommittee will be put together to possibly work on some questions on how our existing self-evaluation questionnaire is. And so we're working on that. And those are going to be future workshops for this Board of Trustees. But the most pressing one in front of us will be the one for the board goals that we'll try to schedule for the October meeting. And that essentially is a workshop. It's not finalized, but at least we can start that process. Understanding that with the retreat, there's so many things going on, as well as the things you just heard about getting the governing board back up to full 5 members. We also are entering our accreditation process as far as a site visit in the month of October, which is obviously a few weeks away. So we have many things to do, but I did want to thank the members of the board for their hard work on the retreat, trying to find some areas that we can work on to improve not only the board but the college. And the one segment that Trustee Otto worked with on the Academic Senate President to work in trying to incorporate some of those into future goals as well on working together. We had it in a goal a year ago, but it was much more broad on communication with college constituency groups, and we're trying to finalize that a little bit more. So With that, that is any other comments I have. Those are comments I have for future workshops. Madam Secretary, there is no items on that from the public on any. I have no other cards. So with that, if there's no other questions, comments, then there's no need for a second session, closed session. So with that, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting to our October 28th meeting of the Board of Trustees. Without objection, so ordered. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much. Good night. Sonny, the comment was, I looked at it, the best thing is just